Yeah, Sophie played a great game, and really, we were just talking about it as coaches right before this. You look at it and you say, "Oh, she scored at a really high level," but when we go back and we watch it, like in the second half, she just did some things in our transition defense to get out and guard shooters. So, I mean, she's growing her game and helping us in a lot of different ways.
You were saying after the game that she's just done a better job this year of pinning opponents underneath so that when the ball gets to her, it's not going to get knocked away. Is that a skill that's learned, or does that just come with strength? Because she talked a lot after the game about how she's gotten stronger.
Well, I think it's a combination. I think she's last year she was a kid who really wanted to score to the middle on almost every single shot that she took and getting comfortable scoring to the baseline and opening the game up so you're not as predictable and making reads and then feeling. And I think what she's doing a really good job of right now is kind of feeling where the defense is at, which you would think, let's just score away from the defense. It's a pretty simple thing, but that takes time to learn how to feel where they're at, and especially for her because there's so much contact, right? Their bodies are tight, and so now when you learn to love that, and then you learn to kind of feel where they're at and score away from them, and that's what she's getting a little bit better at right now. Then you can kind of have your the game opens up for you in a lot of different ways. We talk a lot about with guards, the game slows down. Well, it's the same thing in the post, for post players when they get comfortable with the physical play and then feeling where the defense is at. And I think for her, it's also then there's the next step of recognizing I have time to make this decision because I'm catching it outside the lane. And now I'm taking my time to make a decision. I've got 5 seconds now. Now I've caught it and I'm in the lane, so my 3 seconds might have already started, and now I've got to make a quicker decision. And so those are things that we've got to continue to work on with her yet.
Who on the team does she have seems to have the knack? Seems like Grace has a knack for getting the ball to her at the right spot. I mean, so much of an effective post
Right.
player is her teammates getting her the ball at the
Right.
right spot in the right time, right?
I think actually quite a few of her teammates are doing a really good job of that right now and recognizing how to get her the ball. In the last game, the ball was in Grace's hands more because of how they were pressing. And so I kind of laughed because at times we had Grace kind of running the point, although it doesn't matter for us because she was the one after the press break that the ball was in her hands. We had other times where she was kind of an off guard, and we had other times where at the end of the game we were using her to post up more and using her almost as a primary post. So I think in that game it happened that Grace was the one that maybe a little more than others, but there are also times that Amaya came off a ball screen and kind of cleared it, got back out of there, and then dumped it to Sophie. So I think there were a number of different players who did that transition. Mal found her, and so Tori's found her a couple different times. So I think it's a combination of a lot of different players.
She was saying after the game that she's technically a senior now. I know she's got another
Right.
year coming, but because she didn't play much at North Carolina, she's still in some ways an inexperienced player, and she feels like she's kind of just now coming into her own a little bit.
Right.
When you see a player kind of get it, what does that take? Because she's had her career high, I think, 4 times
Right.
in the last 7 games.
Well, I think you and I talked about it a little bit after the game. There's so much more that goes into it than just feeling where the defense is at and scoring away. You still have to be able to make it. You still have to be able to catch it. You still have to have your feet active. But even before that, you've got to get yourself physically ready, getting stronger, getting quicker. You've got to fuel yourself correctly. You've got to make sure that you recover well. All those type of things go into being ready to make an impact. And then understanding. And I think her basketball IQ continues to grow. And I think she's a very intelligent player as a post player. Like, she gets the game at a different level. But now she's starting to recognize this team wants to help from this spot. This team wants to help from that spot. This team's going to play this way. I need to keep my feet active and pin a little bit differently. So I think that's all of it is kind of coming together for her right now.
Is there something to be said about it just takes post players that much longer to develop?
I just think it takes players time to develop.
Yeah.
It just does. And when we talk about
oftentimes post players compared to the backcourt?
I don't know that there's a timeline on it differently. Honestly, I think it's more of understanding and then being ready, physically and understanding all of it and not getting sped up by it and all those type of things. So I think it just takes time. And, for her, she's now played in more games and she's practiced in more practices and she's understanding more and is getting better. So yeah, it's fun to watch when players start to to get more comfortable doing it.
Defense has been there too. I mean, she
Yeah.
played about as good a defense as you could expect them to get that big Penn State kid. And
Right.
Sarah Williams, she played very well twice. You know, the other day they ran a couple of bigs at her the other night. And can you talk about her development there?
Well, and I think again her ability to and she's got to continue to get better because our next couple matchups are going to be really tough, right? So she's got to continue to grow her game in a different way and be more comfortable, whether that's in just guarding out in space or whether that's guarding in a ball screen and a roll and help doing more than one thing. So, but I do think she's someone who has really good feet. She has some really good awareness. Now adding her hands to deflect some more of those kind of things, that'll be the next kind of piece for her that she's got to continue to grow her game at. But she does understand, a lot of players defensively don't necessarily naturally see the ball, right, and see when they should be helping, and she's someone who has good vision of the basketball more often than not, and is ready and willing to go help, and that's a really important facet.
Her minutes have kind of ramped up too, and she seems to be able to stay on the court longer. Is she in better condition maybe than she's been ever?
I think we've needed her to play more minutes. She's done a good job of that. I think one of the areas as an entire team we have to get better at is not bailing people out, not fouling them at the rim or wherever it is, or trying to get an offensive rebound, but the kid already has it. And that was Sophie's first foul. So you have to be really intelligent and disciplined. Maybe it's not even intelligent, disciplined, because it's not like you want to go get the ball and it's right there in front of you. But you have to understand there are times you just have to let some things go. And I thought that's what we did not do as good a job as we needed to, especially in the first half against Purdue. We didn't let some things go. We fouled and fouled too often.
Of all the great shot makers you've been around, where does Grace rank?
Well, I think what Grace is really good at, one, she ranks really high. I'm not sure what the number is, but I think her versatility and her understanding, like even at the end of the second quarter, I think it was, we added a base or sideline out of bounds kind of scenario for a short shot clock. And she's never been in the position that she was in that scenario. And she looked at Amaya, and Amaya they talked about it, and she ran it, and she got to the rim. So I think her basketball IQ is as high as just about anyone's because she can do just about all of it for us. Now she needs to, continue to grow her game, and she's doing that right now.
You asked her to do so many more things though this year than last
Right.
year. Last year she was a lot of times just kind of a spot up, use a pick shooter from the perimeter, but ball's in her hands so much more this year, and she's getting some rebounds. She's scoring at the rim. I mean, kind of added levels to her scoring.
She is.
Hasn't she?
Yeah, absolutely. Last year we were so limited because we had so few players that when the ball was in their hands and our post kid was outside off the block, there are times you want to go set a ball screen, but last year you'd go set a ball screen for Grace, and she would pick it up right behind the ball screen because she wanted to shoot behind it. Well, then if they guard that, which most teams know that that's what she wants to do, and they guard that, then you have nothing else, right? Now you've picked the ball up in a really tough spot, and everyone else can deny, where now she's a lot more comfortable with using it and making decisions and not being sped up by players that are defending her. And I think that has continued to grow even in the last 4 to 5 games.
You talk about games slowing down. I mean, when you guys have been successful breaking presses, she's a big part of that, right? I mean, she's very kind of level-headed in that scenario, right?
She is, and I think, I think the two things that we have to continue to grow in when it comes to that and handling it is you can't defer, right? You can't just say, here you go, Kent, your turn to go handle the basketball, you do it, right? You can't defer. Everybody has to want to handle it and make things happen with it. And the second thing is the spacing in doing that. And then it comes down to the fundamentals of passing and pass faking, all those kind of things. But those are probably the two biggest areas for us. And I thought in those two areas we were better in the Purdue game. And then all of a sudden when we weren't better in those two ways, then all of a sudden we didn't get a good possession, So again, I think we're asking Grace to handle it a lot, but she's a kid that more often than not takes it out of bounds for us, and so a lot of times the ball ends up back in her hands because the first kid, a lot of times they'll run a double at that kid and then get it back to her, and now she's handling it quite a bit for us.
When you got that 3 to get into overtime against Ohio State, it looked like a design play out of the
Yeah.
timeout,
Yep.
and you designed it for Grace. She got the shot, she hit it. Is she kind of growing into that role of the go-to person in situations like that?
Well, she has to be for us, but we also can't defer because I think the 2 possessions before that, we went to Tori pretty quickly. And there were a couple different options out of that play that Grace hit the shot. But I think it comes down to, again, she's been in that situation a couple times now. She's had her shot tipped or blocked in that situation. The 6'6" kid was flying at her, and she shot faked it or just caught it and side dribbled it. And so then when someone asked it, like later in the game in overtime when we didn't get a shot off and we got it blocked, it's like, but that kid hasn't been in that situation before, right? So the amount of time, and you would like to say, okay, we can do all those kind of things, but in practice, but sometimes it takes being in a games type of situation to feel it and see it and then have the confidence the next time to do it. So I would say Grace has a very high level of awareness. Her basketball IQ is really high, but I think she has a very high level of confidence too.
How surprising was the chippiness at the end of the game? Or was it boiling up in your mind?
Oh, well, and this is my own opinion of what transpired in that possession. I don't think Tori ever meant to make contact with the other player. I don't think she meant to. I think she was going over to help her teammate, and then you could see her get close, and she came in a little hot, a little aggressive, and then she bumped into her, right? And then you could see her kind of grab her to try to hold her up, right? So, yes, should that have not happened? Absolutely, it shouldn't have happened. And that's a part of us. But if you go back again to the beginning of the game, we had times where we lose our, whatever you want to say, our discipline, our composure, our control, whatever it is, and then we think that we're shot blockers, or we think that there's an aggressiveness, like you want that. You want your team to play really hard. You want your team to play with that edge and play really aggressively, but you also have to be really disciplined. That was a case where our discipline broke down, right? And we paid the price for that. So that was it. It took a while to figure out what that all was, and I really believe this. And so what I told Tori right after that happened was, we still need you, and we need you at a really high level. So you got to get your stuff together right now. You got to get it together. We do. We need you. And then I was very impressed because of whatever it was, like a minute later, something along those lines. At the end of the shot clock, we kick it out one more, and she hit a 3 in the corner to put us up. And I think at that point in time it was 7, but then that felt like, okay, we're at a good spot. So for a young player to play that hard, you're going to make mistakes. But then to come back and play with great composure was very impressive. And we talked about that after the game. I thought she did a great job of recomposing herself. Great job.
How important is it to have this week, the weekend bye, given how many games you played previous and
Right.
and the importance of the games coming up?
Well, what's important for us now, and what we have to do a really good job of, is working on things that we have a chance to actually work on us for a couple of days, which is really important. Now we need to capitalize on those days to work on us. And yes, it has to correlate to the next few games that we have for sure, but we really haven't had that chance. You know, when you're practicing and you've got maybe an off day, 2 days to prep game, you've got 2 days before your next game, and you can't really do a whole lot the day after a game, and then you have a 1 day prep. So much of what you're doing, yes, you're working on the skills to be better in whatever, a ball screen coverage, post defense, conversion defense, finishing plays, whatever it is, and you're working on how they guard ball screens, or how they guard the post action, or what do they do in transition defense, all those kind of things. But you're not going very long. You're trying to limit it. So you're trying to teach them as much in film. So your film sessions are longer. Your on-the-court sessions aren't super long because you still also have to get shots up and score around the rim and ball handle and work on fundamental skills. But you don't really have the time to focus on you to the same level. And so this is a chance now to do that. And that's kind of fun. That's a fun part of what we do. So, and then hopefully our players develop out of this, because we need to do that, because the next games are every game is big, every game is important, you know, and the next ones are equally as important as the rest.
We have time for one more question.
Well, on the importance, like, how do you size up your NCAA resume with selection day fast approaching?
Right. Well, and again, all we can do right now is play to the best of our ability moving forward. We don't have any control over what's transpired at this point in time. Do I believe that our young ladies have battled and put themselves in a really good position? I really do. But at the same time, all we can control right now is what we do moving forward. And so that's really been our message about the urgency we have to play with. And I thought we did. And again, I thought we played with really good urgency throughout the Purdue game. I thought sometimes, again, when you're playing and ramping it up, you tend to not do things as intelligently as you want to, whether that's take care of the ball sometimes, whether that's foul at the rim or try to get through a handoff, but then you foul the kid 20 feet away from the three-point arc, which doesn't make a lot of sense. But it wasn't because we weren't playing with that urgency. Now you got to take that next step. So I do think, we played hard. I thought Purdue played really well as well. That was a really good battle.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dawn.
Yep, for sure.
Basketball IQ, or has that evolved over the last couple of years?
I think it definitely comes with experience and just playing. So I think overall the years of basketball, just something that I feel like has grown, and definitely coming here, it's grown. So
What are you better at this year than you were last?
I'd say just decision making and trying to, make the right play. And I think sometimes that comes with on the offensive end and on the defensive end.
How will both of you navigate this mini bye? I mean, Dawn's touching on, a lot of self-evaluation here the next handful of days, just for both of you. Just what's this stretch like until your next game?
Yeah, well, I think first just getting our bodies recovered and feeling well going into the next game, and then also just, watching film and we're finding areas that we need to improve on and just working on us. I think these next couple of days are time for us to just work on us and little things that we need to do well. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think the biggest thing is just getting recovered and then doing what we can to work on us before we have to prep for another team.
Mallory, your rebounds have kind of ramped up in the recent games. You're always a very steady rebounder, but you've had, I think, 3 or 4 doubles in the last 4 games. Has that been a focus, or has it just been the way the games have gone?
I feel like I always try to rebound and get the ball, but I feel like these couple games I just haven't been able to get more rebounds. Either they came to me or maybe I'm being more aggressive on the glass. So I feel like a little bit of both maybe.
For either one of you or for both of you, just talk about how kind of neat it has been to watch Sophie's game kind of climb the ladder here as we come to the end of this season.
Yeah, it's come up huge for us. She's bringing people into the paint is the biggest thing for getting anybody else open, and she's doing a great job, finishing and using her body. It's been really good.
Yeah, I think she's playing with a lot of confidence. She really wants the ball down there. She's demanding the ball. And then when she catches the ball down there and she draws a lot of attention, it opens up the floor for the rest of us. So that's been awesome.
She was talking after the game about how much stronger she's gotten and how it's allowed her to kind of pin an opponent. Because it seems like last year she'd get the ball and it would get swatted away a lot. This year, that's not happening. What do you think the reason for that is? And is it easier to get the ball to her than it was maybe last year?
Yeah, I think, when you're talking about pinning deeper in the lane, that definitely helps to get the ball to her, and then it's easier. She's right around the rim, so she can just go score it right away. So that definitely helps, and I think, like you were talking about strength, just using her body around the rim is definitely helping her, and she's doing a really great job.
I also think she's done a great job of just noticing when the double teams have came to her, because I feel like last year she put the ball on the floor a lot, and now she's really recognizing when to do that and then when to kick it out or when she's getting swarmed and stuff like that. So she's just doing an amazing job. I'm very proud of her.
It was kind of a neat moment in the coach's show a couple weeks ago when she broke the news to Sophie that she was getting another year.
Mm-hmm.
How did you guys react to that when you got the news, knowing that she was going to be back for another year?
Happy.
Yeah.
Did you guys have any kind of deal in the locker room where you kind of celebrated that?
She kind of just came in. She goes, "You guys are stuck with me for another year." So we kind of just laughed about it and just glad to have her.
Mm-hmm.
Mallory, when you say that this stretch is, to work on where you need to improve specifically, I guess expound on that. Where do you need to get better?
Mm-hmm. Well, I feel like just as a team, we've really been focusing on just taking care of the ball and being smart with that. So I think that's going to be another area we work to. And then just offensively attacking the paint. We've really emphasized that this year. And then just, defensively, probably just one-on-one, guarding people one-on-one and stuff like that.
What do you guys think, between now and when the selection Sunday comes to be in that tournament when they announce the field?
I think just keep competing. Like, every single possession matters. I don't think, like, not taking a possession off, competing in every single game. Obviously, nothing is guaranteed, so we just want to work our butt off, and yeah.
Agreed.
For both of you, how do you size up the Big Ten standings and just your overall NCAA tournament standings?
I think, just like Mal said, we're just trying to go into every game and try and get a win and work hard and try and get better each game for that potential later in the tournaments.
Great. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
That your all-AAU teammate just went over 2,000 and 1,000?
I did. Yeah, no, she's been over 2,000.
Oh,
She just got her 1,000 rebound last night.